You're a mean one, Mr. Rinch.
End-to-end poop encryption.
And who will be crowned this year's News Sensation?
All this and more on the season finale of News Sensation.
Ho, 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 and welcome to News Sensation with me, Chris Patel, and the artist formerly known as...
Matty Curry. I got tired of Chris never writing the theme song, so I thought for the series finale, I'd put one in myself.
I have written a theme song, it just never...
I've got to master it. I've got to
master it.
Honestly, the amount of like mental fortitude it took me in that moment to not go end-to-end poop encryption.
Well, really, speaking of mastering, I wonder what we have mastered over the 30 episodes that we've done this year. And we only did half a year. So if you've not tuned in, this is a weird first one to start because it's our season finale.
But I also think it's a great one to start because in this episode, not only are we going to be covering the wonderful and weirdest stories that you might not have heard of the week that was, but also we'll be going back over some of our favourite stories of the year and even some stories we didn't cover that we wish we had. Whether that's because it was before we actually started doing the pod, or because there was just been so much nonsense this year, we couldn't all fit it in.
Some things slip through the net sometimes.
Yeah,
but no, I think we've. I'm proud of the job that we've done of covering the weird and wacky news.
Absolutely,
we hope you are too. Are the 22 people who we were their number one show in the Spotify Wrapped.
Insane.
Yeah, and I was not one of them. It was my number 4 show.
Did it even crack my top 5? Who knows? I know it didn't. But that's because we would spend so much time over the edits and over everything else.
Yeah.
When Chris was away for our last episode, not only was I doing my post-production stuff, but also Chris's, and I realised, my God, the two of us have spent so much time.
I think it's a good sign if you can still get sick of the sound of your own voice.
Yes.
We've not ascended into megalomania yet.
I quite like the sound of mine after a while, but that's because I've been doing this kind of broadcasting now for about 4 years.
Indeed.
Which is terrifying to think about.
And
but I'm sort of
have 30 episodes under our belt when I appeared on your show. Was it at the start of 2024?
My God, yeah.
Yeah, or the end of 2023.
Yeah,
Matty's music show.
My former music show, yeah. So, I mean, this has been really an adventure. And if you want to catch up on what you might have missed, or you want to look back on the year that we've had together, or the half a year we've had together, then you can check out our social medias. We've got some of the clips on there. We've also got a breakdown of some of my favorite moments of the Spotify Wrapped, which some of it is bonkers.
Bonkers. Thank you, the Netherlands.
Hey, shout out to our Dutch listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2 on the charts, but number 1 in our hearts. You can check out our Insta at News Sensation or our TikTok at News Sensation Pod.
And if you see any funny stories or just want to send us a lovely little Christmas message, then you can email us at newssensationpod@gmail.com.
That's newssensationpod@gmail.com. But Chris, I think we've edged them long enough. Time to
Time to open the floodgates.
Time to open the floodgates and get to the real goons of the week. And is there a bigger goon on the planet right now than Carl Rinch? Now, if you're a fan of the cinema of Keanu Reeves, in between his 90s peak and John Wick Return, you might remember the film 47 Ronin and its director, Carl Rinch. But this week, he's landed himself in a little bit of trouble because he has been found guilty of wire fraud and money laundering after scamming Netflix out of $11 million.
To his defense, he might have thought he was scamming Warner Brothers out of $11 million.
But also, I mean, isn't this just what happens when you don't pay your Netflix for a couple of months?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I will pay even more for less content and adverts. The streaming services are slowly just turning into what the Americans would call cable, except worse because it's now disparate. You can't find things. I found this recently. I'm just going to go off a little tangent here. I'm watching Twin Peaks from start to finish.
Oh, yeah.
I finished the original run, the first 2 series, and was like, before I go into the HBO series from a few years ago, I need to watch the film Firewalk with Me, which I knew was on at least 2 services for a little while. It is now on nothing. The only way to get my hands on it is to either buy the Criterion collection for 20 quid or import it from Germany.
I have this problem with the Boondocks. Nobody has it.
No, it's outrageous. So what I'm having to do is make sure I can. I've got to make sure someone in my family has an Apple TV subscription for 3 months because, like, who bought an iPhone more recently, so I can buy it through Apple TV. It's insane.
So are we really saying that Carl Rinch is the hero?
Actually, yeah. Let's reframe this. Put in your mind right now. If you like me grew up on the Disney Robin Hood film, think of that charming little fox running around in his green getup, and that's Carl Rinch. When Netflix had initially paid him $44 million for an unfinished sci-fi show called White Horse, which is the name of about 50 pubs in the UK.
Yeah,
it's not really sci-fi in my brain.
Is it like the sketch you wrote when not the sketch, the play you wrote when they were all in a pub that was had the water level rising outside of it?
Yes, yeah. I should finish that. That was a great concept. Yeah, the idea that Britain was sinking and all these people found themselves in a pub for the last few moments.
Call it Red Lion or something.
Yeah. But Rinch had asked for a further $11 million to help wrap up production. But this made its way into a personal account instead. Whoops!
I hate when that happens.
Whoops! He accidentally shared it with his family who weren't living at the same address, so technically it was in violation of the terms of service.
It's an easy mistake to make.
Now, half of it was lost in a couple of months. Yeah.
Wow.
Through bad investments. Tell me about it. Before the rest was staked on the crypto market, which you're now thinking that's that 11 million gone. But no, he managed to make a slight bit of profit on what was left. But then all of this went into Rinch's own bank account.
Oh.
It happened to the best of us. He then proceeded to buy, it's almost like the 12 Days of Christmas, 5 Rolls Royces, 1 Ferrari, $652,000 worth of watches and clothes, 2 mattresses for $638,000, and luxury bedding and linens worth $295,000. Wow. All I wanted was my fair share. This is more than Lucy's 10s and 20s from the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
So
this is quite staggering.
These been requisitioned now?
I believe so, and we'll get to that later.
So he can't even, you know how sometimes people lose everything, they sleep in their car?
Yeah.
He can't even do that.
Yeah, this is the thing. There is something about his current economic state that I find fascinating, but we'll get to it. It wasn't all flash. He also used some of the money to pay off $1.8 million in credit card bills.
It's important you pay them.
You got to pay them off, you know.
Maybe sooner.
What's his credit score looking like after this? Now, in an attempt to tackle the intent required for fraud charge, basically you have to have a thing. They saying that I intended to do this.
Yeah.
His defense tried to argue that Rinch was in a state of psychosis, with his mental conditions likely exacerbated by both, I believe they said, his medication and the COVID-19 pandemic. If we can get to that point. In the papers! Yeah, external factors including the prescription stimulants and the psychological impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, in a previous arbitration case, Rinch denied that his erratic behavior was related to mental illness, putting it down to his autism instead, saying, whatever's going on there, I can tell you it's not drug-induced. It's not mentally ill. It's exacerbating a different neurotype that most people might not be able to understand. And indeed, we do not.
we do not.
We don't understand how you got here. Nor do we understand how he was able to argue that he was indigent, requiring public defense and transportation paid for at the government's expense.
Oh, it is his autism.
Yeah. So like you said, all this stuff must have been requisitioned because now he's going, I'm broke. I can't make it to New York for the trial.
Yeah.
Now, we're not alone in our doubts, as Rinch was convicted last Thursday, and it's worth noting that the show White Horse was never finished.
Oh, no. Well, we're not alone in our doubts, but you may never be alone, truly, because the one last vestige that we have in society is the porcelain throne, the bathroom. Every gentleman's home is his castle, and that is the throne. But I should maybe go into toilet sales.
You really should. I'd buy a toilet for that.
Oh,
but
thanks.
Maybe not if it's doing what some toilets are now starting to do.
Well, American plumbing giant Kohler has launched a smart toilet that watches you go to the bathroom. Data that it claimed was secured with end-to-end encryption, which is probably not, the phrase you should be using.
End to rear end. Yeah,
End-to-rear end encryption. Unfortunately, multiple engineers have pointed out that this isn't the case. It's not end-to-end encrypted. So what is big tech doing with your poop? If Kohler inspecting your rear end feels a little invasive in the first place, fear not. It's not actually looking at the user. It's looking at the water
Right.
So that calms all my fears.
Phew. They're only measuring my splashback.
Yeah, and they've got good intentions, because Kohler Health is an offshoot of Kohler, which aims to make the bathroom the center of health and wellness. I don't know if you've ever been in Matty's bathroom. They've got some work to do.
My gut health is supreme.
Well, I'm sure.
No one's dropping it like me.
No.
Operation Rolling Thunder.
Anyway.
They call me the LBJ.
Anyway. On top of that, and Mr. Beast launching his financial services company, I kind of wish entrepreneurs would stay in their box.
Just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
But we've got a number of entrepreneurs in the rest of the episode who decided not to stay in their lane.
No, indeed they did not.
More on that later. The system involves mounting a Wi-Fi-enabled camera on the toilet rim, which I'm sure.
What are you doing?
I'm sure this has live stream potential.
It really does.
Like, I'm glad it's not Bluetooth enabled. You might accidentally cast a TV.
No one needs to see that.
But the camera's called Dakota, and this makes me not want to go to Dakota.
No.
It costs.
It should be called South Dakota.
Hey.
Yeah.
It costs $600 plus a subscription of $6.99 a month.
What?
And
why would I be paying this?
security researcher Simon Fondry Tietler noticed that the data isn't actually end-to-end encrypted. Like, for example, WhatsApp messages are end-to-end encrypted. The researcher said that Kohler's responses to him actually showed that the bathroom data could be accessed by the company and even used to train AI models.
Keep your AI model away from my rectum, sir.
That's all I ask.
Yes.
Ron DeSantis' AI Bill of Rights, I'm sure, will include this.
Yeah. Artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I saw this on a website called Ars Technica. I'm thinking, Ars Technica?
Way.
There's potential. But TechCrunch, which is a tech news website, picked up on Fondry Tietler's blog post, then ran a story. And after this, Kohler removed mentions of end-to-end encryption.
No, I'm sorry.
From the site.
The whole thing removing end-to-end encryption notices from their site.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how it works.
No.
You can't sell it as this for the entire time and then take it off the website. This is a legal thing.
It's one of those quiet removals.
This drives me nuts. This is such a tech bro thing, kind of going, we'll just make it disappear.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, with enough money, I don't know. A lot of them seem to bend the legal system to their own will.
Wow, this is very true.
But Kohler has a tick box on its website at which asks the users to give the company permission to de-identify data. Because, and I quote, our algorithms are trained on de-identified data.
Oh.
So just a pixelated, imagine a pixelated poop. They can unpixelate it and really just look at just what you've been eating.
I see plenty of corn in there. Don't stay away from my green giant.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
But if you've ever sat on the throne after a heavy night out, you'll know that there's some things that AI just can't recreate. Isn't that right, Matty?
It's so true. Truly, man's greatest art.
Man's greatest arse. Coming soon to a thumbnail near you.
Going soon to an end of year award near you. Yeah. End of rear award goes
Perfect.
to. But no. Speaking of total shit.
I thought you were going to say speaking of Messi.
Well, that is also true. Yeah, after a night out, it can certainly get messy. But Messi has had an interesting week himself. He went on his tour of India. That's right, after winning the MLS Cup.
Go on.
For the first time in Inter Miami's illustrious history. Trio Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and Rodrigo de Paul took a long weekend trip for the GOAT India Tour 2025.
I would watch this as a movie.
I would as well.
Messi with his
his two bodyguards.
His two bodyguards, his unbreakable awkwardness, Rodrigo de Paul's everlasting fealty to Messi, and Suarez biting people.
Yeah.
I would
I'm
watch their
absolutely
go tour
here
to
for
India.
this. It's incredible. And also, if it starts like this started, it was a long weekend, basically, Saturday through Monday. The start, far from the greatest of all time. His arrival in Calcutta drew thousands to see him arrive at his hotel. And his morning meet and greet appeared to go very well. But the unveiling of a 70-foot statue of Messi was a bit of a sign of things to come. It was a virtual unveiling. So people came out to watch the statue be unveiled, but they only saw him on a screen press a button and a sheet drop. The statue itself bears the sort of resemblance we've come to expect of footballer statues. Link in the show notes. Now, after meeting with Bollywood's Shah Rukh Khan, Messi headed to Salt Lake Stadium before sacking it off after 20 minutes.
Well, Utah, is...
Right, hang on. It's not Salt Lake City Stadium.
Salt Lake Stadium.
Salt Lake Stadium, Calcutta.
I beg your pardon.
Yes, yeah. Bro just wanted to shit on Utah for a moment. Leave the Mormons alone. Now, those in attendance had expected at least the planned hour, but didn't even get the kickabout with some local players that had been promised. Concerns were legitimate, especially with face value tickets going for 3,500 rupee, or £29, which for 20 minutes...
£29 for a kickabout with Messi?
£29 to watch a kickabout with Messi, with other local footballers, which is about half an average week's wages, which is already pretty steep.
Yeah.
But resales were going up to 12,000 rupees or £99 to watch from the upper decks Messi walk around for 20 minutes and then leave.
To be honest, if you sold that in the UK, I think people would think that was a bargain.
Yeah.
99 quid to watch the goat
99
walk
quid
around.
I'd pay it.
I mean, he even did a kickabout with Jeremy Lynch. So if you're going to do a kickabout with Jeremy Lynch, back in the day, him and Suarez and some of the other Barca players, then why not the public?
I know. Well, we'll get to it later. Later on the tour, things went a little bit better.
Ooh.
He did a few kickabouts.
Good.
But also, in case you're curious on the prices, a VVIP, which the fact that exists as a ticket bracket is showing that the death of live entertainment. Yeah. Hello, Infantino. But yeah, that's the meet and greet ticket. That'll cost you 1 million rupees, which is steeper than it sounds. It's £8,200, but still, £8,200.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Now, one of those in attendance who did pay that 12,000 rupees just to get into the stadium were furious that the only people around Messi were leaders and actors, with the fans not even able to see his face.
I'm sure Salt Bay would have made a cameo
appearance. Of course. Oh, he just snuck his way in there. Now, others echoed this, with one fan saying that they paid 5,000 rupees for their ticket, bringing their son to watch Messi. But they said that they're there to watch Messi, not politicians. The police and military personnel were there taking selfies, and the person they blamed above all of this is the management. Because you have to be said, who organised this? Now, as Messi headed off to Hyderabad, fans started to throw chairs, tear down banners, chuck bottles, and storm the pitch. Because basically they were there to be like, oh, an hour of Messi kickabout. Wow, look at Messi doing tricks, you know? Sort of like, they were imagining like a sort of Diego Maradona live is life sort of like situation. None of that. Walk around the pitch, see a bunch of people take selfies with him, and then he pisses off.
I'm proud. And when we don't get what we want in this country from customer service, we should do the same thing.
Yeah. Instead of just going to go, oh, well, I hope it's in the bracket for me to get a refund on the ticketing system. Oh. Now, as the Inter Miami lads carried on with the more successful and fleshed out legs of their tour, the finger of blame was pointed all over Calcutta. Think the lotto ads with the "It could be you" giant gold finger. Eventually, the event organizer, Satadru Dutta, was arrested and remanded in police custody for 14 days by a city court.
Perfect. This is a happy ending.
This is a happy ending. We got him. Put him in the stocks. Chuck your rotten tomatoes at him. Yeah, it's a good old hue and cry in Calcutta. Yeah. But yeah, even the little magician couldn't conjure anything good out of that.
Oh, they chucked the chairs at Messi?
I think by that point he might have left the stadium. But it's you can just see like fans all in like Argentina kits, just like chucking shit at the pitch.
They need to protect my goat at all costs. But to find out who has been our goat, we'll be back after the break.
Welcome one and all to the inaugural special event. The occasion of all occasions, the Night of Champions. That's right, it's the first ever, and maybe last, New Sensation Awards. I'm your host, the more festive Matty Curry, who's wearing a Santa hat like a yarmulke, because I've got the biggest head on the planet, and I'm joined still by the effervescent, and now jollier than ever, Chris Patel, as we're going to run through some of our favourite stories of the year, some of the stories we didn't cover, some of our favourite characters of the year. It's going to be all sorts.
I can only apologise. I'm allergic to Christmas jumpers. So
I'm trying to kill Chris. I mean, the story at the end of our first half is about Lionel Messi. I'm wearing my Diego Armando Maradona Christmas jumper.
It's probably one of my favourite Christmas jumpers
it's so
that I've ever seen.
Shout out Ellis Platten in classic football shirts, man. But Chris, now that I've probably cut that last segment, talk me through who your first contender is. The nominees are for Story of the Year.
So our first nominee was one of my favourite stories of the year. It was the Kingdom of Kubala. So if you tuned into episode 19, like, who didn't?
Who didn't?
Most of the world. Then that is the story about the so-called African tribe who set up camp in various private land locations in Scotland and faced, on the one side you had the elemental Kingdom of Kabbalah said they received a message from God.
Yeah.
This is three people, by the way.
3 people.
Just camping out in the woods. Versus, Scottish, like, the council, like the border police.
No one more sour and cold
No.
than the Scottish councils. Like, that's got to be one of the like toughest crowds to win over.
Well, honestly, the tribal leader was up for Wrongin of the Year before we revamped the format. These 3 tribal. Tribal. It's not a real tribe. It's more of a cult. Is Kofi Ofer, who goes by King Atahehe.
Our glorious King Atahehe,
indeed,
please.
Who claimed that Putin was going to invade Scotland and they were going to defend it.
Right.
Which I believe Scotland could defend their own country without these guys.
I think they could. Also, there's a sense that wasn't he claiming like an ancestral heritage to this random plot of land in Scotland?
He said it used to be Mary Queen of Scots' house, which begs the question: why not try and live in the house rather than in the field, kind of near the house? Jean Gashow, who was his queen, and Cora Taylor, who's a handmaiden and a surrogate for the queen.
Right, a concubine.
Indeed. I mean, these 2 women have to look at Kofi Off-air before they're allowed to speak.
Right.
Because according to Cora Taylor, the tribe believes in submission.
Which, again, we're not saying he's a kink.
It's one of the kings that I'm probably going to shame. They also had a weird, it was one of the reasons I found this so funny, a weird pseudo-Jewish theology.
Right.
So they were referring to the children.
So close yet so far, guys. Come on.
Yes. They treated it as kind of the promised land. They're referring to the children who were throwing rocks in the area of Jedburgh where they were based as Jedburgh Edomite children. Which is one of my favorite insults to ever come up on the show. And it was just so incongruous. It actually broke more news than just news sensation.
It's true.
There's a real range in these awards, some that have kind of been localized to us and some that have gone far and wide. But an update on this story.
Exciting.
Offair and Taylor, so that's the king and the handmaiden, have been arrested, and Offair faces deportation.
Shabbat Mahmood is eyeing him up like, listen here, sunshine.
His family in Ghana actually want him to return home because they think he needs help.
Yeah, do you think?
I think the other 2 need help.
I agree.
But yeah, no, one of my standouts from the year. How this is going to work is we've got 4 nominees and we are going to do couple of mine, couple of Matty's, then we're going to deliberate and find out who is the overall winner of this category.
Yes, well, I mean, speaking of my nominations, which I would have to say, like, kind of blow yours out the water.
Okay.
Fighting
Wait
talk.
to hear my next
one. No, I mean, this one was another unanimous pick between us. For a long time, this was the benchmark that Chris would set me for any story that I found.
Yep.
I am, of course, referring to Danmei and the crackdown by the Chinese government. One of their efforts to tackle the population crisis was basically to put young women in the firing line of an author purge earlier this year. Authors of what? Erotica. Mostly Danmei, which is a genre inspired by boys love manga. That has grown from a subculture to multi-million-pound franchises.
Which is written by mostly women.
Written by mostly women, it was sort of like a bit like a surrogate, kind of.
Cora Taylor.
Known for its sort of flowery language, kind of being this kind of almost overly romantic, not what you'd expect from an erotica.
Not enough sex.
Not enough sex. It's like, get these boys on the boys, you know? Like, listen, if I was writing my boys love manga, it's like they would be kicking down my door straight away. Xi Jinping would be like, right, you've gone too far. But I'm like, look, if you're going to commit to the bit, commit to the bit. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? These poets, these literary icons, people who resisted the temptation to just make the steamiest publications to come out of China in a very long time. They were all based in the Taiwan-hosted Haitang Literature City, this sort of like website that collected it all. The authors were accused of breaking China's pornography law, which, again, hardly. Come on. Like, if we're going to break the pornography law...
Break it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to speed, go for 200, you know?
Not official news sensation advice.
No, but what I'm saying...
One of our heroes, Stacey Wilkinson, might agree with that one. Those who know.
But no, it's one of those things where if you're going to commit to breaking a law... Anyway, now, those who turned a profit from this distribution, which was producing and distributing obscene material, they would face 10 years in prison. But I mean, turning a profit is very easily done when basically it's accounting any revenue made online. The bar for distribution is also said to be very low. It was about just 5,000 views for anything deemed obscene, which for us is pretty high bar.
Yeah, as I said at the time, would be all right.
Yeah, but bear in mind, this is like one of the most popular genres in China, especially for the ladies, which again, I didn't realize that was the target audience.
Confused.
But you know what?
Confused and horny.
We say that. What is the primary target audience in terms of like actual de facto, not de jure, of say women on women in the Western world? Anyway,
New Sensation fans.
So speaking of New Sensation fans, the horniest fans in podcasting, which is why we were a Spotify rising star, what the fuck we are. Now, speaking of revenue, authors aren't necessarily earning in massive ways. One author pointed out that they'd accumulated 4,000 yuan over years of writing, which equates to about 400 quid.
You can't even see Messi walking around for that kind of money.
You really can't. That's not Messi money.
No.
But it is messy money, let me tell you. It gets a little bit messy in them stories. There is the potential for high earning, though. One IP sold its adaptation rights for north of £4 million.
Starring me and Matty coming soon to the small screen.
This is the thing. If this does actually win this award, someone's got to write some new sensation, Dan, mate. I have been told numerous times that people have watched their podcast waiting for us to kiss, and it's never happened yet. But
it's so weird.
You guys are problematic. Anyway,
my mates don't say this kind of thing.
I know, but you know who do? Women. They can't get over it. They love their boys. Anyway, these adaptations have already launched successful careers for some of the actors involved. I mean, that Danmei is only very closely removed from China's stars. They are cracking down on these adaptations as well now. But yeah, that story, I think, it has defined this podcast in so many ways, especially in the wild imaginations of our listeners.
That is a quality pick, to be sure. And if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that the first two picks for this category could really fit into like a classic Vice headline. Mm-hmm. So, Kingdom of Kubala, African tribe sets up camp on Scottish land, claims Putin's invading Scotland.
Yeah.
With Danmei, go for it.
Chinese government cracking down on gay manga.
Indeed. Written by women.
Yeah.
It's a feminist issue as well. This next one.
It's a feminist issue.
Indeed.
We know women love their steamy books.
And that will probably get you points when it comes to nominating our winner. But our third one is no less apt for a Vice headline. It's Intervision, which is Putin's Soviet-era revival of Eurovision, where he invites all his mates who didn't want him in the Eurovision Song Contest.
Which, I mean, to be fair, there's lots of people now pulling out of Eurovision in protest of Israel's participation.
Yes.
They've got somewhere to go.
There's five countries. Belgium at the time said they would also deliberate on when they knew whether Israel was included or not. They're still in, so, no backbone Belgians.
We say that we're gonna fact check that and be like, oh, sorry, Belgium, really sorry.
No, I've got them here. The five that have pulled out. So it's Iceland, Ireland, the Netherlands.
Number one in our hearts.
Yep. I think it's the new sensation Orange. It might have something to do with it. Slovenia and Spain.
Yes, Spain have been really leading the way on this, and they're on the P5, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So Eurovision's gonna suffer a bit of a funding cut there, I think. But they could go to this communist-era song contest. So it's meant, like the crackdown on Danmei, to bring back family values.
Which, nothing says family values like a Eurovision knockoff.
Exactly. And this story is one of my favorites because of the pure tangents it took us on.
Oh my God.
I don't think I've enjoyed tangents more on this show. The USA were inexplicably meant to be in it until their contestant Brandon Howard had to drop out for personal reasons. Brandon Howard, who Alki David, the founder of Filmon.com and a payer of one of the biggest sexual assault payouts in history, said that he was Michael Jackson's son.
Yes.
Produced phony DNA test to try and prove it, which had probability of paternity 99.9999% written on it.
Which, no, that's not how these things work at all.
Akon threw his hat in the ring saying, yeah, I believe that guy's Michael Jackson's son.
Akon of Akon City fame as well.
Exactly, of episode 10 fame. So, yeah, he had to drop out due to family circumstances. But he wasn't the only exciting contestant. There was Shaman, the Russian contender, who had a song that translates to German as Mein Kampf.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Came under fire for Nazi themes in his music. And if we'll link a photo of him again in the show notes, you will You'll probably see why.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where it's like the least surprising Nazi-linked.
And do you remember what else he was known for, Matty? Notorious for?
Ooh, I don't.
He had trademarked the term "Yaruski," which means "I'm Russian," for a series of branded items, which included sex dolls. Nazi sex dolls.
Nazi sex dolls. See, again, the most new sensation headline I can think of.
Well, we said that at the time. It's
yeah.
Nazi sex dolls. But Russia were guaranteeing tickets plus an extra £65 if people were to attend a 13-hour dance flash mob.
Yes.
So they're finding it hard to flog these tickets.
And again, it's one of those things as well where it's like the Russian sphere of influence is a really strange broad church at the moment.
It is.
It includes both the US and Venezuela.
Both of which were invited to the song contest.
Yeah.
And it also banned, obviously, yellow and blue outfits in the crowd because, Ukraine were not invited to the song contest.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's sort of like we joke about it being an alternative for the countries leaving Eurovision, but they have a backbone. It take the probably the opposite of a backbone. What was it that Boris Johnson called people?
Great super and protoplasmic invertebrate jellies.
Yeah, those are the people competing in
including
Intervision.
the United Kingdom.
Yes, exactly. We are firmly within that camp in so many different ways.
But true fans will believe that I predicted that Shaman, the alleged Nazi, was going to win. Actually, it was won by Nguyen Duc Phu from Vietnam.
Wow. They always come out with an underdog victory. They love it.
I thought their song was really bad, but
Well, Chris, did you vote?
It's Eurovision. It's Intervision.
But Chris, have you considered that they might have done a concerted voting effort where they advertised across numerous countries and did so with government funding and on government sites that is totally against the rules of the broadcasters?
But when it comes to Intervision, what are the rules?
What are the rules?
But yes, that is my second nominee for Story of the Year.
Yeah. Also, I apologise to the Vietnamese broadcasting service for comparing them or suggesting that they would ever adopt the policies and strategies of the Israeli broadcasting service.
And it's the first time we've ever had to apologise to the Vietnamese broadcasting service.
It's the first time for everything on this show. And I mean, there's so many stories of this year that we could have touched on. I mean, we brought up Venezuela there. I enjoyed talking about the El Sistema earlier this year. I thought that was very educational. But there's no greater education than fucking around and finding out. And that's exactly what happened to a certain Yank and his family when they fled America for Russia. So this is a lovely follow-on from Intervision. In August 2024, Putin put into law a simplified migration system for those living in countries whose policies go against traditional spiritual and moral values.
There's a lot of... 3 of our 4 biggest stories of the year have this, values, like traditional...
Values being bollocks.
Yeah.
yeah. All of this is being made up fucking culture war bollocks.
Yeah. Moral relativist podcast.
Moral relativist podcast. But all they had to do was sign a written statement rejecting the destructive neoliberal ideology of their home country and commit to live by Russian traditions. Can it be more lame? Yes, it can. Applicants also didn't have to pass a test on Russian history, law, or even language. And those who remember this from when I was reporting this from the west coast of France will know what's coming next. Enter the Huffmans. That's right. Derek Huffman signed up for the military believing that he would be a correspondent or a welder based on what he was told. Correspondent, very interesting. Why would it be you, Derek, you moron?
You don't speak any Russian.
You're a dunce. But his wife, Diana, complained that this confusion lies in one major issue. The training was conducted in Russian.
Oh, no. I hate when that happens. When you move to a country, don't learn the language and then get screwed over because you didn't learn the language and signed into something. Now, Derek had signed up for the military to expedite the family's citizenship process, which wasn't necessary, claiming that he was doing what immigrants in America don't, which is choosing to serve as a means to earn his place in his new home. Reminder, Trump got rid of the law that allowed immigrants who were going through the process to enter the military. It was a Bush-era policy that he got rid of. Just want to throw that out there. Now, Derek is on a 6-month deployment right now. He did come back home. He appeared in the family YouTube channel about a month ago, which is quite surprising given that there was drone strike footage making the rounds claiming that he was dead. Yes, I remember this. Someone in our comments put it. I had to fact check it.
Yeah.
Derek Huffman's dead. Maybe I should remove the whimsical reel then.
Yeah. It's like, we won't remove the whimsical reel.
No, because he's still alive.
He's still alive. And based on, again, we have to take this like in chunks at a time.
Yes.
he was alive a month ago, so we're just going to rock with that assumption.
So his family are home now.
His family, no, I mean, by coming home, I mean home to the American colony in Russia.
Oh.
Yeah. But let's remember, three of the sons split across him and his wife from like their other previous marriages, didn't come with them. But no, the family who are out there are still there. Along with a few other American families who they haven't even met yet. NBC recently reported the story of another American family who spent last winter stuck on a chicken farm outside Moscow, who now can't get their sons into school because, again, it requires a language test. And basically have said that, like, had they known about this, they probably wouldn't have left. Yeah. But yeah, at least they have stayed clear of the Donbass because, again, the dad kind of pointed out, well, I don't need to do that, so I probably won't. But yeah, Derek Huffman, what a story, and what a plonker.
And if you two want to escape woke, I think maybe following Derek's footsteps. I think Russia, is in need of some anti-wokies.
There have been so many times where sort of, especially in like the British right and American right, people kind of gone, well, I'm reporting here from Russia and it's great, I mean, ultimately like this family who moved out, the LGBT stuff is basically outlawed, and I think that's great. It's like, look, if that's what you want from society,
yeah,
and bearing in mind, Nathan Gill. Just want to throw that out there. The Welsh leader of the Reform Party who got done for Russian money. And I wonder if that, is localized to exactly one individual who was saying the exact same things as a few other individuals involved in that party, including the leader. If you want to do all of that, if you want that kind of society, and if you want to support effectively Russia in the Ukraine, fuck off to Russia then, you bastards.
Well, Matty, I think it's time that we decide on from this list, which looks remarkably like actually film titles. So
it does.
Our nominees once more are Kingdom of Kubala,
Danme,
Intervision,
and An American in Donbass.
That last one really does sound like a film, doesn't
it? Well, because I stole the title and flipped it around.
Whoosh.
An American in Paris?
Yes, no.
Yeah.
I realised far too late.
Far too late.
But, I mean, for you, Matty, which one do you think takes the cake?
For me, there is not, when I talk to people about this podcast, there is one story that I always bring up, and it's a story that's very near and dear to my heart. It was part of a broader Chinese time in the show's
in our life.
I think Danme, for me, will remain number one in my heart forever.
Yeah, I mean, I whittled it down to two in my head. Danme was up there, and Intervision.
Yes.
But at the 11th hour, I was choosing between Intervision on our episode on the Gloucester cheese roll,
right.
Which not as remarkable because it happens every year, but remarkably violent history to the Gloucester cheese roll.
Yes.
And of course, we can't deny, the Chinese time in our lives. You had How the dating coach trying to improve the fortunes of Chinese singletons.
You had the people going into an office to pretend to work.
So I think, Matty, that we can announce our winner.
It is with great pleasure and a proud moment in my journalistic career, all too brief, to say that the winner of Story of the Year is the Chinese crackdown on Danme Boys Love Manga.
I thought you were going to go into Mi Gente Latino. Stunned silence.
I mean, there's been multiple great winners in pageants this year, as we've covered on this podcast before.
Fatima Bosch,
friend of the show, an actual friend of the show, unlike people like Derek Huffman, who qualify as friends of the show erroneously.
Well, later on, we'll be coming to News Sensation of the Year. But
yes.
Before we do that, we have the best story. Each of us have brought one story from this past year.
Yes.
That slipped through the net that we didn't cover.
Yes. If you're wondering how long this episode is going to go, so are we. Yep. But there are so many great stories from this year. And this first one, it kind of caught my eye recently because it's sort of come back into public conscience because it should never have left. So after New York Mayor Eric Adams was indicted in September 2024.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the Visit Turkey Eric Adams sponsored.
Oh, yeah.
We were heartbroken when he pulled out of the mayoral election. And boy, we'll get to that. When he was indicted last September for allegedly accepting gifts totaling more than $100,000 from Turkish citizens in exchange for favors, Adams spent his 2025 looking for a way out. Enter Donald Trump. In February, the Department of Justice moved to drop the criminal charges against Adams. This came after Adams had visited Trump in Florida and skipped scheduled MLK Day events in New York to go to Trump's inauguration. Which it's like, bearing in mind, Trump has also now taken an aim at MLK Day. It's no longer a free day in national parks, but Trump's birthday is.
I think you mean Charlie Kirk Day. Have you not heard it's been renamed?
We are Eric Adams. We carry the flame. But his first move to get into Trump's good books was when he accused the Biden administration of targeting him after his indictment, much in the same way of the former president of Honduras.
And I mean, if you've seen Biden, he couldn't target the toilet bowl.
It gets messy in there. Get the cola can on that. Now, claiming that his critiques of its immigration policies was what was driving this targeting campaign, which prosecutors said couldn't be true because he was already under investigation when he started to speak out against the then president. The DOJ's view was that the trial had unduly restricted Adams' ability to devote full attention and resources to the illegal immigration and violent crime that has escalated under the policies of the prior administration. My goodness. What a long spiel. All to basically say that Adams shouldn't have been tried because he was mayor of New York.
That old get out of jail free
That old
card.
get out of jail free card. Didn't work for Giuliani. Somehow kind of technically worked for Adams. It echoes his own line of argument, basically, to say, like, I'm doing shit. Leave me alone. But as Stephen Gillers, a legal ethics professor at NYU School of Law, pointed out, this would immunize office holders, which, I mean, Trump would love. But the real explanation is that Trump wanted to dismiss the indictment as a favor to Adams.
One never knows how loyalty is born.
So very true. Wow.
That's again pinch from Mad Men, which I've been in a frenzy of, if you couldn't tell.
This is insane. Now, after this move by the DOJ, the interim attorney for the Southern District of New York City, Republican Danielle Sassoon, resigned.
Any relation?
I don't think so. I wish. Resigned alongside 6 other officials in the Justice Department, which, I mean, when even your sort of loyalists are removing themselves, it's a problem. Meanwhile, 4 of Adams' 8 deputy mayors announced a collective resignation. Basically, everyone wanted to wash their hands of this as soon as possible. But in April, a federal judge permanently dismissed the criminal case against Adams. But it wasn't in a actual Trumpian move. Yes, in fact, the US District Judge Dale Ho wrote in his ruling, "Everything here smacks of a bargain. Dismissal of the indictment in exchange for immigration policy concessions." But his decision to drop the case permanently was therefore an attempt to prevent Trump from using it as leverage over Adams and New York City. Very smart move. Basically to say, look, they want me to drop all of this, but they also want to be the ones to drop it. So I'm going to drop it so it's no longer hanging over us all. Now, Adams, meanwhile, took it as a victory, saying that the case should have never been brought against him and he did nothing wrong. But then again, around this time, he also said of his plans for re-election, you know what? I'm going to win.
Well, he certainly won, Matty's story that we didn't cover.
He certainly did.
Have you heard about the Sabrina Carpenter to Eric Adams fall pipeline?
Well, you did bring this up to me, and I was like, what on earth are you talking about? But yes, last year when Sabrina Carpenter, actually technically that year before that.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it Feather?
It was Feather, yeah. Sabrina Carpenter recorded a raunchy and quite explicit video in a Catholic church in Brooklyn. It led to a whole investigation into that church and why it was allowed to happen by the Diocese of New York. And the priest involved basically got himself in a bit of trouble. The thing is, it put him on the map of perhaps getting up some wrongdoings. The map of the wrong-uns, which is a map that we're familiar with. We're cartographers of the wrong-uns, you see. And what this did was it drew the Fed's attention. Now, this priest also had some interesting business relations to Eric Adams' office. And so Sabrina Carpenter kind of did claim in, I think, one of her concerts in New York that maybe she was the one who got the mayor indicted, because it all seemed to fall into place that his indictment came in around the same time that everything was happening with this priest as well. So yeah, let's just say Sabrina Carpenter is doing the world a good.
Well, there's not been a greater pipeline since 9/11 to the fall of Ellen DeGeneres.
So true.
Which I'm sure you can look up in your own time. But my favourite story that we missed is from back in June, when the Ghana Drunkards Association
friend of the show,
indeed, gave the country's government an ultimatum: lower the price of alcohol within 3 weeks, or face a massive nationwide protest. So that would be no small thing, as the Ghana Drunkards Association claims it has 16.5 million members.
What?
I think they were seeing double. Because that would be almost half of the country's population. So presumably more than half of those over 18 who can legally buy alcohol in Ghana. And the organization's leader, who goes by Dry Bone, said...
Ironic,
said that the summer increase in value of Ghana's currency, the cedi, should have led to a fall in alcohol prices.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You may as well ask.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of a drunken mess, my mic has managed to wrap itself around this table. So, Chris, let the people know about the Ghana Drunkers Association while I detangle.
This is very tinselified in the absence of any tinsel apart from Matty's moustache in the studio today. But Drybone said, "We are therefore calling on President John Dramani Mahama and his Minister for Trade and Industry to do something about the prices.
Do something!"
We have given them a 3-week grace period to meet us so we can deliberate on how to reduce the prices of alcohol. We are not making this call only for alcoholic drinks, but for the non-alcoholic ones as well.
What?
J2O champions.
J2O champions. Hey, they've won me over. That's a broad church I'm under.
Yeah.
Because as a teetotaler, I was like, you know what? I'm not really on the side of the Drunkards Association. Well, not really my cup of tea.
Matty, are you a fan of imported goods?
I mean, famously, I'm a big fan of Action Bronson. So yes, I think imported goods is always... always on the side of imported goods.
Because they were calling for the prices of those to be lowered as well.
Oh, wow. Like a reverse tariff.
Yeah, I think they're asking for a lot, but they've also called on the government to provide reflective clothing so their members can be seen at night.
When they're staggering through the streets of Accra, yeah.
All 16.5 million of them. I think you'll see them at night. But I can't find anything about a nationwide protest, so I can only assume that this was, hot air, and the Drunkards Association.
I can only assume it was a massive success.
But what have the Drunkards Association, officially known as the Beverage Consumers and Bar Owners Association of Ghana, been up to since the ultimatum?
I am very curious.
Well, last month they announced a 1-week break from alcohol consumption.
Oh, wow.
In honor of recently deceased statesmen, musicians, pastors, and other late Ghanaian celebrities.
Who were all members of the Drunkards Association?
Undoubtedly. I mean, probability would dictate that.
Yeah, numbers game.
It's probably enough to be on the source 51 weeks of the year, isn't it, Matty? Drunkards Association said that the recent string of deaths have placed members in a state of mourning, which had ironically led to them drinking more. But Drybone, the great leader, members should use this 1-week break to reflect on their lives and go and get health checkups.
They really should, because if you're part of the Drunkards, it's not even like the Drinking Association or the Alcohol Association, the Drunkards Association. I mean, it's commitment to the game. That's love of the game right there.
Love of the game.
Love of the game. Truly, 1 million beers to Drybone and the boys. But yeah, my favorite policy has to be reflective clothing. I think the idea that you need state-sponsored reflective clothing because you guys are getting too pissed.
We're not going to buy it because who can afford 16.5 million reflective vests?
Well, I mean, you know who someone I think is able to afford something like that? But one of two of our new sensation ones to watch. That's right. So we've covered the stories that we've missed from this year. But I think it's important to take a look ahead at the end of the year. Take this 1 week where we're not getting pissed to reflect, to get our health checkups, and to think who's going to be the biggest wrong'un in the years to come.
And we've each picked, a one to watch, one that we think you'll definitely hear about next year.
Oh, yeah.
And mine you've already heard about on the show twice before. So it's Christian Angermayer. It's fairly nailed on that we're going to be hearing more from him in 2026 because, as we covered all the way back in episode 3, the episode with the cheese rolling, it was also the episode with the enhanced games, which, is the Olympics knockoff where all the athletes are juiced to the nines, as you put it, all those weeks ago. And all doping is legal. It was co-founded by Angermayer and Dr. Aaron D'Souza. The Games has pretty much already attracted global media attention and condemnation from basically every sporting body.
Yes, because it sounds incredibly dangerous.
So dangerous. They've even claimed that one of their enhanced athletes, Kristen Kokolomeyev, broke the current 50-meter swimming world record.
Yeah, but it doesn't count.
It doesn't count, does it?
He set the record for the juiced up boys.
You can't break the rules. It's like saying I broke the 50-meter record, but I started at 40 meters. Like Kevin Hart did when he beat Usain Bolt in a running race.
Yes. Yeah.
But Angermayer's co-founder Aaron D'Souza said he could imagine 1 billion people tuning in to watch the 100-meter world record be broken.
No.
And while I don't think it'll be that high, I'm pretty sure Angermayer is going to be popping up on some news feeds. But he's not the only that's not the only reason, rather, that the German billionaire is one to watch. So he runs in powerful circles, Matty.
Okay.
He actually met his Enhanced Games co-founder at a private dinner for gay venture capitalists hosted by the gay venture capitalist, Peter Thiel, who's also German. So, they've got that connection too.
Isn't Altman also gay?
I don't think so.
Because I keep seeing stuff with like Altman with like pride related matters.
But wasn't he talking about raising his newborn, and the only way he could think to do that was by using ChatGPT?
Yeah.
You know, that thing that people have been doing since the dawn of time. He can only figure out how to do it with
Have
a
you
chatbot.
considered reading a book, dummy?
No, he hasn't, which is why we're in the mess we're in, I guess.
Yeah.
But Peter Thiel, obviously the co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, who'll probably be our overlord by 2027.
Yeah, unless something happens. Anyway,
unless the thing happens. But Thiel notoriously was unsure when asked in an interview whether he wanted the human race to go extinct. So hopefully Angermayer can bend his ear.
Yeah. So they're cool. Look what happens when you pump them full of steroids.
Yeah. Angermayer's also got his fingers in a lot of other pies. So he's the founder of Atai Life Sciences, which is attempting to push medical boundaries in ways that we're already seeing the effects of. So we've got the enhanced games. We've also got Brian Johnson, who many of you will have heard of, is the guy who's trying to reverse engineer his
Rocks
DNA.
up time and again, a bit like you, could have been found just off the coast of Honduras. Not that long ago, he made a visit to Prospera.
Wow. Presumably for a health reason.
You'd assume. Yeah. Or because like all his mates live there.
Ritual blood sacrifice.
Which was sacrifice of himself?
Of his son.
Of his son.
Takes his son's plasma.
Yeah.
But he's trying to completely slow down the aging process. Angermayer's company, Atai Life Sciences, wants aging to be classified as a disease and that drugs to be legalized to treat aging, in big quotes.
I mean, my constant thing with this is it's like, this is the opposite of aging gracefully. You know what I mean? It's
aging
like,
disgracefully.
This is aging disgracefully. It's like there's people who it's like, just let it go with everything.
Yeah. I mean, like Donatello Versace.
Yes.
Let it go.
Let it go.
But Angermayer is also big into his magic mushrooms. He's appeared twice on the show before. Once when we were talking about AI chatbots being used as trip sitters.
Which the Reel and TikTok was used then for many a drug dealer to shill their product.
It was the Piccadilly Gardens of TikTok. Real marketplace. But he called his first trip on mushrooms the most meaningful thing I've ever done. And
lame. Your life sucks.
He thinks AI chatbots could be used to assist human psychedelic therapists through motivational check-ins. And to cap it all off, Matty, Angermayer is a serial Hollywood film director.
Oh, is he?
Not any films that I would have heard of. Maybe you've heard of Big Game.
Yes.
They're not, smash hits.
No.
It's a powerful area to be in, as we've seen all too well with the war between Netflix and Paramount.
Well, everything is getting subsumed into like one section, and then what they'll realize is that actually they can't sustain both those things with just the staff of one, and so they'll separate off again, and then one will go independent, and basically we'll be stuck in this death loop until someone realizes that all of this is just stupid.
Yeah, basically any pie that we hear so much.
Get your finger out my pie.
His finger's in everybody's pies.
Yeah,
everything that plays on newsfeed. Like the way Hollywood's going. Drug dealers in our comments. Angermayer's got his fingers in.
Yeah.
You might think, because he's a billionaire, he's already made it. Well, Elon Musk now has double the wealth of like the second richest person, and is still using chatbot rears at parties. So maybe he's not made it. But Angermayer has amassed a fortune, I'd say, without really breaking through to the popular consciousness.
Yeah.
Until next year, I think.
Oh, you think it's going to be his breakout year?
I think next year will be his year.
Is he going to burst onto the scene?
Yeah, like Micah Richards. To quote the German, I think the world is really changing.
I wish there was a big change that happened in all these guys' lives. Anyway,
as in, like, has endeared himself to me.
Well, no, I don't know what you're talking. I was talking about like taxes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's one of the certainties in life. I can't remember what the other one is. But anyway,
Matty goes Bob Villain on the final episode, who I would say narrowly missed out on making it into the new sensation of the year.
Yeah, but then he'd be surrounded by too many people where it's actually kind of like, no, this person is a real wronger.
A real wronger.
A real
bad man.
But speaking of real bad man, let me tell you, if you talk about fingers and pies, this man is insane. We've talked in this show about how a Brazilian scandal loves to spread out across continents. Odebrecht. But you need to know the name José Batista because it's going to become so important. It's already starting to kind of crack through into like public conscience. So it's like this guy has way too much influence.
Joseph Batista is a great name.
Yeah, Joseph Batista owns the world's largest meat company, JBC, which brings in more than $77 billion in annual revenue.
Thought the world's largest meat company was New Sensation.
Hey, he's got a big knob. But speaking of big knobs, Batista owns this company with his brother Wesley.
Josely and Wesley.
Which do sound like ballers that Shakhtar Donetsk have picked up from Brazil. And eventually sell on to like Genk. But it's becoming the most prominent private diplomat in South America. And what is a private diplomat? Well, I'll try and explain that. For about 6 months, from 2017 to 2018, the brothers were briefly jailed in Brazil for insider trading. This was in relation to the timing of news about a bribery scheme that they had set up. So basically, the insider trading was being done because they'd done a bribery scheme and they were deciding when that was going to be announced.
Right.
So trying to put it in like more basic terms. So they did this bribery scheme was set up to help their company secure state loans for expansion and allow their meat to pass inspections. They both returned to the boards of their companies after their time in Islam. So it's a real slap on the wrist moment. But JBS as an entity has also faced fines amid accusations about buying cattle from farms involved in illegal deforestation. If you don't know, the leading cause of deforestation in the Amazon is cattle farming.
Wesley specifically. No, allegedly.
Allegedly. They've also been in trouble for price fixing, wage manipulating, and violating child labor laws. Then also like harassment and discrimination.
Still a mild list compared to when we ran down the Unilever laundry list.
Oh my lord. Now, all of this is important to know because Batista's influence continues to show and grow. And I don't mean the actor who can powerbomb your spine out. One of JBS's US companies, Pilgrim's Pride, was the largest individual donor at Trump's 2023 inaugural committee, giving $5 million. This was Batista sliding into Trump's DMs, basically, and he has not left. After tempers flared between Trump and Lula, with the Brazilian president endorsing Kamala Harris and Trump speaking out against the conviction of Bolsonaro for attempting a coup, which, I mean, Trump's looking at that going, yeah, what's the big deal? The US's trading relationship with Brazil collapsed, and a 50% tariff was put on Brazilian imports. Bad time to be someone like Batista. So, it was actually the Brazilian business leaders and not politicians, if there is such a difference anymore, that got things back on track. Now, chief among them, and the only one to actually meet Trump, was Batista. One of the 4 business leaders who took part alongside him basically said the talks were 99% Batista. He's the main reason they got everything back on track. Now, in April, JBS was finally allowed by the Securities and Exchange Commission to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
Whoa.
After years of them saying, no, have you looked at their list? The SEC went, yeah, we'll have him. The approval came just 2 days after the Federal Election Commission, or the FEC, came out and said, oh, yeah, by the way, a couple of years back, the biggest inaugural committee donation was Pilgrim's Pride.
Which could mean nothing.
Now, Batista said we didn't decide when this news came out, and of course he didn't, because he probably wouldn't have had it come out right before he was allowed on the SEC by the SEC onto the NYSE, because it just makes it all the more apparent that Batista is doing a few favors for a few favors in return. It's very poetic. But part of his plea to Trump was that the tariffs were actually helping Lula's popularity and will lead to him winning the next election, because it was feeding this anti-American sentiment. Now, most of the tariffs were removed after the 2 presidents finally met just last month. So Batista's really making moves here. Now, Trump and Lula are both relying on him for his Venezuelan connections, because in 2015, he secured a $2.1 billion deal to supply half of all beef consumed in Venezuela, but the repeated economic defaults by the Venezuelan economy meant the country and the deal collapsed.
Half of all beef.
Half of all beef in Venezuela. Now, Batista's strong relationship with Maduro's interior minister, Diosdado Cabello, remained. And this included a meeting that he organized between Cabello and former Brazilian president Dilma Rousseff in 2015.
Who was famously covered in glory.
Always. I mean, if you're friends with Batista and he's able to get meetings with you... Look, anyway, the favor was apparently returned a decade later, because this is the reason I'm bringing him up now. Just a few weeks ago, on November 23rd, Batista flew to Caracas at a time when 6 international airlines have suspended flights to Venezuela, and the US Navy is doing strikes on boats off the coast and claiming oil tankers. He flew to Caracas to meet with Maduro. Now, just 3 days before this, Trump had called for the Venezuelan leader to resign, and Batista then rocked up and said it to his face. Now, despite failing to convince him, the meeting did appear to keep the door ajar for sort of further meetings down the line. Despite all of it kind of really blowing up in his face, Maduro's relationship with Lula is improving. You know, it'd been strained since Brazil refused to recognize his re-election. We talked about this when we talked about Maduro earlier. There's suggestions that maybe the election was a little bit whoa, a little bit away, a little bit ooh. But last week, just a couple of weeks after this meeting happened, Lula called Maduro for the first time this year. Now,
his heart must have been in his mouth when he saw Lula come up on his phone screen.
Yeah. He's like, oh, fuck. It's like, it's one of those numbers you don't recognize. It's like, yeah, I changed my number. How are you doing? I just wanted to talk to you. Now, Rubens Barbosa, a former ambassador for Brazil in London and Washington, has called Batista Lula's chief broker on international affairs.
Whoa.
Even if his primary focus is the bottom line of JBS. Saying that you no longer see diplomats in these conversations, only business people. This is becoming normal. And he basically also said, I think it's him, the suggestion that the type of deals and sort of, handshakes that would take you far in Brazil and Venezuela now take you a long way in the US as well. But look, Trump, Lula, Maduro, these are the 3 most prominent men in the Americas. And I mean, from the endless flow of executive orders to COP30 to sieges and strikes in the South Atlantic, they have really dominated the headlines this year. And one man has the ear of all of them. So keep an eye on José Batista.
What a pick. What a pick. Speaking of one man having the ear of everybody, I think it's time for the moment that you've all been waiting for. News sensation of the year.
Yeah!
2025.
Or Sean will be like, wah,
wah. Well, they're all friends of the show, but in that loose sense. In
that they provide us with great content.
Yeah. In the loose sense that Lula and Maduro are friends.
Yes.
They do their part, we do ours. We're all part of the same ecosystem, really. So it's going to be like the story of the year, where we each get 2 nominees. And Matty, please kick us off.
There's one man who I've already mentioned in this podcast today, who like for egg of the year at least, Gianni Infantino. We've known he's a wrong 'un for many long years now. Many long years. Today I feel gay.
Gay.
But this year, everything that happened with the Club World Cup was just staggering. It made for some great content in the early episodes of this show, back when we were recording it in my sweltering hot attic.
Yes.
In shorts sometimes. So good heavens.
I still remember the bead of sweat that trickled down my leg one episode.
Every fan remembers
and that's not a euphemism.
That made its way into the Dan May straight away. But it just keeps getting worse because his coalition with Trump has really been a coalition of chaos. And now we try to avoid like the political leaders because otherwise this would just be a lot of the people we mentioned earlier. Yeah. Trump, Farage, all these other types. But Infantino is kind of the closest you get to that. As the face of FIFA in a year where FIFA have looked like absolute assholes. They've been real wallies. And everything that has now happened with the American World Cup, if it was just the Club World Cup, I'd be like, hey, he had a big summer.
Yeah.
But now, everything from that disastrous draw, which was just insane.
The FIFA Peace Prize.
The FIFA Peace Prize that he gave to Trump as a means of appeasing him after he lost out rightfully on the Nobel Peace Prize. What has he done? He keeps claiming, like, I caused these ceasefires. All of them have been broken.
I've stopped.
Every single one has been broken.
I've stopped 7 wars.
Yeah, José Batista has a higher claim to the Peace Prize than
He
Donald
probably
Trump.
knows Infantino. They've probably been out for dinner together.
Absolutely knows him. He's supplying 50% of the beef for the World Cup. No, that's
I wonder
not
if
true.
Batista's gay. Maybe he could be at the gay venture capitalist dinner.
Well, he'd probably find his way in there anyway.
Probably.
He knows his way around a meat market.
Hey!
But yeah, Infantino with the Peace Prize, with the fact that like the price of the tickets with the World Cup being absolutely outrageous, the opportunity to grow the game in America for the first time since the last World Cup there, going out the window. The fact that like they're not really providing an open avenue for people to actually get to the stadiums because all the stadiums are far outside the cities themselves. It's a mess. And yeah, when you combine this with the fact that they tacked on this awful Club World Cup at the start of the year that was just doused in scandals, if there's one man who has somehow managed to ruin and sour the reputation of the beautiful game, all the more than it already had been by the corporation he represents.
Yeah.
He's making Sepp Blatter look legitimate.
I was going to say, didn't Sepp Blatter like call FIFA out at one point?
Yeah.
Like, get your own house in order. But also that's got to tell you something if you're in
That's when you know that you're in trouble. I'm trying to remember what like the major headlines of that Club World Cup were in terms of like scandal. But all I can think about was when it was like a bunch of minnows getting absolutely curb stomped by better teams, and Donald Trump keeping the trophy in his office. The real Club World Cup is still in the Oval Office, along with the further sort of like tacky golden spray painted Home Depot accoutrements that you'll find now around the Oval Office.
And I think we're forgetting as well about the dodgy Saudi organization of their future World Cup.
Oh my goodness, of course, yes, with DAZN.
That got earned the Upshot podcast a lawyer's letter because they said FIFA was, quote, fucking bent.
Yeah,
honestly held opinion.
But for suing the Upshot alone for calling them fucking bent when they're fucking bent,
or threatening to, and then I don't think
allegedly
I've heard from them since.
No. So yeah, Gianni Infantino, like no one should have to know the name of the president of FIFA, and yet we all do because he is a contender for news sensation of the year.
That is a wonderful pick, Matty. I honestly, like, even though he's done all these bad things, I think the essence of a wrong-un is that you can still find some kind of humanity in them.
Yes.
So maybe this next guy doesn't fit the bill. Because it's Andrew. And no, I didn't miss his title off. That has been removed. So Andrew has had a slow and satisfying downward slide this year.
Yeah, Randy Andy's had a tough one.
He has. Quite a few over the years. Beginning the year as a prince and ending it by not even being invited to his family's Christmas lunch.
That's when you know it's gone really wrong.
When you're not in the car with Beatrice and Eugenie. Wonder what they put on the Orcs. Anyway, Andrew has been a consistent headline factory for decades. Most notoriously when he was alleged to be an abuser of Virginia Giuffre, whose death in April this year was ruled as a suicide. And like Andrew's friend Jeffrey Epstein, he's been a constant source of confusion for us about how much of his behavior we can joke about and how much we shouldn't touch with a barge pole.
Yes, absolutely.
I even reached out to him on LinkedIn for comment. Do you remember?
I do remember this. Back when Chris used to message people every single week to comment. And it was great. I was like, you're so ballsy for that.
And it
worked with, can we just say, we've not mentioned them so far, but the fact that early in this show, we got that interview with the Tuna Bomber team, who are now well underway in selling their tickets. Very proud to see them continuing to carry on. When I was looking at new sensations of the year, Luigi Mangione would pop up a couple of times in my brain. But yeah, those guys are fantastic. That interview was such good fun. But anyway, back to the absolute wretched filth that has been stinking up British headlines.
A well-deserved shout-out for the Tuna Bomber team. But the most explosive revelations about Andrew this year came up on episode 13, if I'm remembering correctly, of our podcast. Unlucky for some.
Andrew's Concubine Conga line, I think, was the...
Indeed, and it was our most watched episode. So these revelations came from Andrew Lowney's biography, entitled... my personal favourites. Epstein allegedly selling Andrew's secrets to Mossad. Andrew allegedly enjoying a sleazy massage in which he insisted it was held in his bedroom and he was naked. Allegedly. Andrew allegedly being cruel to his staff. And allegedly playing choo-choo trains and coconut smoochie and pushing people's faces into the pate at a dinner party.
Allegedly.
So really, based on Andrew's laundry list from previous years, this is only a small brick.
This really is.
But he's had a lot this year.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's the fact that like it's all come crashing down for him specifically.
Yes.
And it must sting watching Trump kind of get away with it.
Yeah, no, he's probably second only to Trump in that if we wanted to, we could have done a story on him most weeks.
Yeah.
Trump could have filled our story, an episode every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Funnily enough, speaking of all this, he has to release the Epstein files on Friday, by the way.
He has to.
Yeah, and he's addressing the nation on Thursday. So, you know how I talked about Maduro?
Don't worry. Be happy.
Get ready to go to Venezuela, boys.
Well, we'll all be watching with bated breath. As always, the news happens just after we record the episode.
Obviously that announcement's coming on Thursday, which means it's going to be the biggest announcement of the week.
But the other news that we didn't actually, it hadn't happened by the time we recorded this episode. Andrew's reported multiple meetings with a Chinese spy this year. King Charles moving Andrew into a smaller house before taking his royal title and his remaining military title off him completely. And if we're still hosting the show in our 60s, speaking of the Epstein files, we'll be able to introduce the Prince Andrew files, which are going to be uncovered in 2065, going to be declassified. They are details of his business trips between 2001 and 2011.
Oh, I spoke earlier about my frustrations trying to find Twin Peaks Firewalk with me on streaming services. It is a bit like when David Lynch set up a 25-year cliffhanger at the end of Series 2 and literally came back 25 years later to finish it off.
That's such willpower.
Yeah, it is willpower. And I'm excited to see how it ends. Don't spoil it for me in the comments. But yeah, that's going to be us with the Randy Andy files.
I think Infantino and Randy Andy are the two strong contenders.
They're juggernauts. But speaking of Randy juggernauts, who are putting up numbers this year, Pavel Durov. This is the thing. You might remember him from our episode where we talked about the CEO who is going to leave his fortune to his over 100 children that has come from various sperm bank donations, where he was doing things like paying for the people to go through the process, all these different things. Also, right around the time that we were discovering a bunch of issues that happened with sperm banks, where there's congenital diseases happening across Europe. But yeah, Pavel Durov. He's the CEO of Telegram, who, if you listen to this show, we mention Telegram at least once an episode,
we do.
Surely. It's where everything seems to kick off at all times. And he is the man who, a bit like how Cola don't have proper end-to-end encryption so they can check your data, Telegram is set up so that they can check these things out, and yet somehow it's been accused of hosting all sorts of news sensations, let's just say.
I mean, sperm is the ultimate end-to-end encryption, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And this is what he was being investigated for by the French, which is why there was a travel ban that meant that he could leave the country to visit one of his many families around the world, but had to come back after a couple of months. But very recently, that travel ban was lifted by the French.
Hey! Vive la sperme!
Vive la sperme! This hasn't stopped Pavel Durov from doing what I think is actually his coup de grace of the year. And this is where I think I couldn't ignore him being a contender for New Sensation of the Year. Not only has he been the sperm bank warrior, not only has he been the CEO of Telegram in what has been a banner year for the company, but also he took to X after all the travel ban had been lifted to suggest that Candace Owens' suggestion that the French, and we know Candace Owens' view on the French, were involved in Charlie Kirk's death is entirely plausible. With Durov suggesting that Charlie had called for 300% tariffs on France until the charges against Durov were dropped. So he has thrust himself into the big story of the autumn.
Thrust himself is the right verb.
He loves a good thrust. But yeah, Pavel Durov, he embodies, I think, we talked about this family values, all these different things. There's actually some perverted, fucked up tech bro fantasy.
Multiple family values.
Yeah. Where it's actually about being about as toxic as a masculine form can get. Just a total wrong-un. I think if you look at the manosphere, he is the subtle hand that guides the rest. I have nothing nice to say about the man except to say that he is, in my eyes, a strong contender for New Sensation of the Year.
I mean, sperm was, crucial to not only our births, but the birth of this show.
It absolutely was.
Because we had the story on our trial episode about sperm racing. Which is what it sounds like. It was a college sport, wasn't it?
USC versus UCLA, was it?
I think so.
Like
where two guys, saw who had the faster sperm.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's... I mean...
It boggles the mind.
Days.
But you know what? There's something just so... Because also Pavel Durov was the guy who liked to cosplay as a Roman kind of guy. He'd be in a toga carrying a goat. It's it's all the scumminess. It's all the sort of sleaze. And yeah, it's... I can't help but love it in a twisted way because I can just see the writing on the wall. But Chris... You have somebody who was, I think, a wrong-un on such a personal basis for people that it's I think, actually worse.
If you've ever heard the phrase, he can't keep getting away with this. He can.
Keep getting away with it.
Because we're talking about Joseph Awuah-Darko, or as he goes by on social media, Okunta Kinte. Yeah, he would have you believe he's as put upon as the fictional enslaved
Kunta
character
Kinte,
from the Roots series. He's an assisted dying influencer. Which, if that sounds fucked up, it is.
It is.
So he was famous for the quote-unquote Last Supper project. So he announced his intention to seek an assisted death online, went around Europe, having dinner with people who, thought it was interesting or moving, and netted a lot of celebrity acolytes on the way. Yeah. SZA, Channing Tatum, Queen Latifah. But it was doubtful whether he ever intended to die, as he never signed up for euthanasia. And
this is where things start to fall apart.
It is, because while that is, a merciful decision if you decide that life is worth living, and it truly is, Okunta Kinte's story didn't add up, because he said he was cut off by his family for being gay, but he admitted that they were paying his legal fees. More on that in a minute.
His what?
Homeless immigrant is what he called himself, but he was wearing designer bags, which he said were ironic.
Yeah. The irony of a designer bag.
That's how it works.
It's ironic if you surely if you wear exclusively like fake designer.
Yes.
There's an irony to that.
Yeah.
Whereas that's a statement. This is just what it says on the label.
This is allegedly bollocks. But I would, in fact, crown him with a separate award if he doesn't win this one. Performative Man of the Year.
Oh, yeah, which is a strong category.
Because he had a supper club, which, he already gets you in the top 1% of performative men. But he wrote out a list of rules for his supper club, one of which made us laugh quite a bit. Mm-hmm. He said that his friends' doodles, the dogs, were therapy, witnesses, and better conversationalists than most of us. Stroke one when words fail. Which I think is Pavel Durov's method of seduction.
When we first did that story, I was in a hotel in Italy, where the walls could be quite thin sometimes. Good hotel, but and I imagine that like the cleaners in the next room must have thought I was going insane because I was creasing. And I truly think if there's any message to take away from this year and this half year of this podcast, really, if in doubt, stroke one when words fail.
Stroke one when words fail. Well, there's a lot of free time over Christmas for all that. When the Drunkards Association get back on the booze. But I mentioned legal fees. Artists back in Ghana still say that Awuah-Darko owes them hundreds of thousands of pounds from when he was an art curator and dealer.
Right.
He also weaponizes his own alleged suffering in an insufferable way all the time. So, first of all, his name, Okunta Kinte.
Yes.
Like, you do not have similar situations.
You're not.
You're
not him.
He said that one time when somebody asked him for money back for transport, I think it was, I'll fact check that in the show notes, he gave them a laundry list of excuses, one of which saying that last night he attempted suicide.
You can't pull that card. You can't pull that
card. Around the
card.
Christmas dinner table, don't pull that one out. You'll ruin Christmas.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you are going to pull that card out in front of a mental health professional.
Yes.
And let's figure these things out, because as Chris said, life is worth living. If only to hear these madcap stories on News Sensation, and when you're trawling through your daily doom scroll.
Speaking of mental health professionals, Bipolar UK even condemned him, saying he was setting a dangerous example. And so he's really a figure that's been loved by, SZA and his celebrity followers and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of followers online. But he's also been hated. There's a whole subreddit dedicating to unraveling his stories. And now he says he has a Warner Brothers film in the pipeline.
No.
Or is it Netflix?
Very good, sir. Very good. Played that well. Nice. I mean, does that make him a one to watch the next year? Because we might get because honestly, again, allegedly, it feels like someone is setting themselves into a trap here, because it's always right after they release the film that it all comes crumbling down.
Yeah.
Looking at you, the salt path, which we almost covered on the show. Did we cover on the show? Or we kind of dodged around the show?
We missed the salt path.
Yeah, I think I almost did it, but then I was like, I'm going to hang on because it's an ongoing thing.
So he can win our award of most likely to end up on a long-form Observer podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Or make a mean Channel 4 documentary next year.
Indeed.
That's how I like to spend my Christmas, huddled around at dispatches.
So, Matty,
warmed by the fires.
should we go back over our new sensation of the year, Nominees.
The nominees are Gianni Infantino,
Andrew.
Pavel Durov,
and Okunta Kinte.
and the winner is I don't know actually.
I don't know. So I'm gonna say that I don't want Andrew, after he's been stripped of so many awards, to ever win any awards.
No. I think
So I'm taking him out of the running.
dishonorable mention. Stripped of this.
Dishonorable.
Or do we give it to him to take it off him? No. We'll just kick him out. We'll kick him out. Kick him out like he got kicked out the Royal Lodge.
Yep.
Piss off. Durov, I feel like there's a level to which, because he's like an underhanded chap, and there's like been a few stories that have really made the headlines. He is also just an attention-seeking whore.
He is.
And so I think we're going to have to scratch him off the list as well.
There's been quite a few of those on our podcast.
I'm realizing this is a chance for us to kick these guys in the balls one last time for the end of the year, and I'm enjoying it. Durov's gone.
They're all getting coal in the stocking.
Durov does need his balls kicked. That guy's got to stop sending out that sperm.
He needs the twist.
He needs the old snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. You know what that does to a man? So it's between the craziest combination of
World Cup final.
This is perfect. The underdog, Okunta Kinte, who's actually not an underdog, and is
would have you believe.
It will have you believe he's an underdog. And Gianni Infantino.
I'm torn here because
I'm torn.
Infantino is undoubtedly the bigger figure in the news.
Yes.
Okunta Kinte is one of our own.
This is the thing, is it's like there's a level to which Infantino, you could go on an athletic podcast, the Guardian podcast.
Yeah.
You could go on even the crap ones like Michael Gove's, and you'll hear
He's got a podcast.
Yes, he does.
God.
Yeah.
known.
Yeah. If you want to get your news from a right wing podcast, give your head a wobble.
But you're right. You'll hear people singing the same tune about Infantino, whereas Okunta Kinte, the Mail did something, De Volkskrant, Dutch paper did something on how his stories
The
don't add
Dutch,
up.
yet again, I think that's a sign for them, the guards.
The Dutch should win an award.
Maybe that's the thing. I thought that the Dutch came in to listen to me talk about the Amsterdam balking of washing machines, but maybe it was in fact.
So we'll do quickly Fan of the Year award. It's Lee Twamley versus the Dutch, and it goes to the Dutch.
Goes to the
Congratulations.
Dutch. Because, I mean, we don't award people smugglers on this show, convicted people smugglers on this show.
I know, we don't want to meet.
Yeah, we don't want to meet unless I'm allowed to grease up that lamppost you want to climb.
Yeah.
But anyway.
If you want to meet, go to Josely Batista.
Yeah, he'll arrange one through us. It'll be us, Lula, Maduro.
I don't think Lee's attention span made it through that story.
No, probably not.
But yeah, I'm gonna, as he's one of our own, I'm gonna plump for Okunta Kinte. What do you think?
Honestly, I do feel like all the insane United pundits right now who will kick up a storm if Kobbie Mainoo doesn't play at least 60 minutes in every single United game this season and say he's one of our own, Okunta Kinte, he's one of our own, and he is the news sensation of the year.
Hey! I hope it makes you very happy.
I hope it doesn't.
No.
I hope you realise that you've won this award. I hope you realise what this means. This is the naughty step of awards.
Wow. So someone's currently etching the trophy in the corner. We've got Dan May and Okunta Kinte. Two words that I had never heard before we started this podcast, and I'm so glad.
I'm so glad that we've been able to. Again, this has been ways for us to learn and for us to kind of expand our horizons. I mean, I read far more news from far more sources than I ever would have.
Indeed.
If it weren't for this show. We hope that we've expanded the horizons of a few of you at home. If you've stuck with this bumper episode just for the shits and giggles.
Wow, it's long.
It's a long one. There's a bit halfway through I put on a Christmas jumper. We can cut that out. But really, this has been an absolute pleasure. And I mean, this is the brainchild kind of both of us, but it was you took the first step for man and the giant leap for mankind.
I did. We thought of the format, me and another friend, and then obviously Matty. I was on Matty's radio show before, and when I thought I might continue this format, my other friend was busy. I thought there's no other man who can yap as much and about as many things in so little time and in so confusing a way as Matty Curry. And if the network greenlights us for season 2, then maybe Okunta Kinte will have some competition.
It might go
year.
straight to Netflix, though. We can't promise anything. There'll be a limited release, and that'll be on Netflix. But for now, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah,
Happy Kwanzaa,
and most of all, just enjoy and please have a safe winter, because my God, the flu is getting everybody. The roads are getting icy.
It is,
and boy, are we chilly. And some of us are allergic to Christmas jumpers.
Boy, are we chilly, and I'm not talking about the sun. I'm a Nazi. But for the final time this year, I've been Chris Patel.
And I've been Matty Curry. Thank you for tuning in.